meeting to. Yes, we are. Do we have any members of the public who wish to participate electronically? None. Okay. So that takes care of that. The minutes of the last meeting have been provided. Have they been presumably read by everyone? Are there any omissions or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting? I hear nothing. In that case, do I hear?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes as provided. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. A technical issue. This is a little bit between Thomas and me, but that's okay. There seems to be a minor technicality that an event took place at our last meeting, which was not on the agenda. I brought it forward because I found it in the regulations of the BCNC that it was required at the end of the year. And that was the putting forward the concept of retaining myself as chair and David as vice chair. The language in the BCC rules allow for that. There was a vote, it was unanimous. That was December. Because it was not on the agenda, it is now to make it fact official. So once again, David and I will not vote. Somebody needs to put a motion on the table to retain us in our role, David and I in our roles, and then there has to be a vote on that, and he and I cannot take part. Do I hear a motion on the table from someone?
Sure, I motion to have you and David stay in your existing rooms.
Right.
Second.
That's on the table and seconded. Those who have, well, everyone here has a vote. So those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's officially done and on the record. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, Fire Foundation. Donna.
So I asked Battalion Chief Hamilton to be here today to share with all of you some really exciting news. In my career path, I was taught early days that if someone tells you no, that means you get that much closer to a yes. So Ryan knows that I was told by senior management 3 times, no, we can't do that. And I said, okay, fine. And I said, we're going to do this. So I had a dream that when I applied to be on the commission, I wanted to see Centerville Fire Department get their own drone program. And because of my networking that you know I do with the firehouses, I found this gentleman who had the same dream. So Ryan has been working for the last 1.5 years on the fulfillment of that dream. It is to be done in honor of my brother, Michael McCusker. So we're calling the biggest instrument that we purchased the Big Mac. And Ryan has been able to route through the department through all levels of approval that we will be implementing a drone program for the Centerville Fire. And how we're able to also do that is that I decided some years back, why wait till I'm dead to do good deeds? So my philanthropic giving is heavily oriented towards the Centerville Fire Foundation. And then the foundation blessed our idea. So it's a reality. It is now the seed money is in the coffers, and Ryan gets to go shopping and begin the drone program with training. And I asked him to be here today because I'm just euphoric that he made the dream come true. And well, I couldn't have done it without you.
I'll see you.
So I asked him today to please share with you a little bit about what we're going to do. The other thing that I did want to say was, you know, that I worked the Boots for Troops program where we're, the Fire Foundation put money in, okay. My issue with the work that I do on behalf of the fire department is it needs to be made in the USA. So the boots that we selected are made in the United States. The drones, I'm happy to tell you, are not only made in the USA, but they're made here in California. So it's a
Northern California at that.
yeah, Silicon Valley. At that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, so first off, thank you very much to Donna Cusker and for her generous donation to the foundation and us being able to purchase the equipment and pay for the training to get this program up and running. Having a policy is far different than having a program, and that takes hours of work and resources. So we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. So we're really excited. We're going to be buying some drones from Skydio, which is a company from the peninsula. We hope to have, we don't hope, it'll have infrared capabilities as well as lights and a speaker and a microphone. And so we'll hopefully be able to use it for maritime and hikers and mountain bikers, and then also just good operational readiness or operational situational awareness for fires and rescues and basically anything. They don't want to limit it to anything. Basically, if the incident commander or needs to be able to use that resource can get benefit from having intel from the air, then we'll put it in service. So it's baby steps now. We want to start with a good foundation and kind of move slow, but we're going to be making that purchase soon and sending our folks to some training. And so hopefully soon we'll be able to provide a demonstration for it.
Awesome.
So if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer it.
What station will be home?
So we're still working on the best deployment model. Most likely we're going to have one really good, the Big Mac drone that we'll have in a central location. And then we'll have a couple smaller drones that we can use that will probably have at different resources, one in the valley and one downtown. But yeah, we're still working on the best procedure and deployment, and it's going to be a work in progress. There'll be times where we'll have to figure out where the best place to use them. But it'll probably most likely land in the DC, but just for the fact that we're at all the important calls. So but yeah, we're still researching all that stuff. We have some time. The FAA requires our drone pilots to be certified, and so there's some time. We have some lag time now that we have funding to get people trained up to make these purchases and get settled on the procedures. But the policy's all approved and things good to go.
Are there other fire departments in Marin that are using this?
We don't have any
police departments.
Police departments, yes. The sheriff's department has a good drone program, and that's who we've used when necessary, mostly the SRPD. There isn't a lot. We're kind of the first ones in the county. I know Southern Marin's looked into it. I don't know if anybody's actually gotten it off the ground. And we will seek to regionalize it as well. I mean, it's gonna be Santa Fe stuff, and it's gonna be available for the citizens of Santa Fe. But these types of incidents that we can support each other regionally it's a force multiplier, because both interdepartment and countywide, regional wide, because when we're busy on a fire, you know, that's when we'll need it, and we don't have the hands to have somebody be flying. But the 5G Skydio drone that we're looking at getting is pretty amazing, and it actually has the ability to be flown remotely. So theoretically we could have people from a station, you know, at the other end of the city flying it for our incident in China King. So but we need to get our hands on it and play with it first before we can start figuring out exactly what we could do with it. But
do you think once it's deployed, one of the things that I help with on the fire commission is it's like media.
Yes.
Like I could see the media interested in this. We have to be a little bit careful because they're drones, you know, privacy concerns and things like that. But maybe down the road.
The fire department has a good rep.
For sure,
and if we put their logo on it, there would be a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And we have controls built into where we're gonna be logging every flight so that, you know, we don't have any potential, you know, well, they were flying over my house or,
Right.
you know, using it for nefarious reasons.
For sure.
It'll just be for, but yeah, the capabilities are pretty amazing and both for, you know, non-emergency PR stuff and just situational awareness to real-time intel on it.
Yeah, I think it could be a really positive story, and
100%.
maybe once it's been in use, and you know, some use cases where it's helped in certain situations. I think that could be, I mean, we can talk about it, but if that's something that we'd like to invite media coverage of, I'd be happy to.
Right.
Yeah, and I know it's the future. I mean, it's sometime in the next 10 years, these things will just be automatically dispatched to certain call types, is my guess. They're so easy and fast, and the tech's already there that, you know, you could have the ability for an incident commander to get real-time data on an incident, you know, en route overhead of a, you know, let's say a bridge vehicle accident, sailboat damage or something. So, yeah.
What's the realistic timeline to get it up and running? This year, next year?
Oh, no, this year. Yeah. We hope to have training done first quarter and operational second quarter.
Does Camp Park still happen?
The
training
control burning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slowed down in COVID. I don't know if we're still, I don't think
No,
they're
the
doing
problem
it
is
anymore.
problem is the residents in Danville.
Oh,
So that's been.
Camp Parks was a park, where you do live burn, and everybody did that prior to wildland season. So it was controlled, so that looked like, that's like the perfect example if it was to put it into use there, because
Well, we'll use it for, you know, the wildland academies that we do.
Perfect.
St. Vincent.
That's
and
great.
Anytime, you know, we can.
Yeah.
We'll
And as we get more acclimated to it, it'll be easier to use, right? Right now it's a novelty item that nobody really knows, but it should be second nature to us to get it out as soon as we get it, anything like a water rescue or a hiker down. And that really does cause a lot of time delay in us searching for that person. Because we have limited resources, but binoculars sitting on shore trying to get in the boat out there. We could launch this thing a lot faster. We're actually now we're getting actual data and saying, all right, this is we're not going here. We're going to go over there. That's those kind of things.
Infrared thermal imaging.
Yeah.
And the thermal imaging is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's what, and I had prior to my occupation here, I was an incident commander on a church fire in the East Bay. And if I would have had a drone on top of that structure fire, it was a 3-story church fire, my tactics would have been dramatically changed. I was sitting on a street corner just with my 2 views, and I didn't know what was going on the top side. Had I known that what was going on there, my tactics would have been dramatically different. It wasn't Mayday, luckily nobody died on that, but it was definitely something an eye-opening where that technology 100% works.
Ryan, where will the training occur to get the FAA designation, and how long will they be in training to get that?
So it's self-paced online training, and then
Okay.
they'll have to go and do the test.
Okay.
So the FAA requirement training is kind of, it's not how to fly, it's what not to do. So it's more of just the legal things, the prescript, you know, the things we have to make sure we don't do, when we can fly, where we can't go, when it's okay. So that's the first hurdle. And that shouldn't take too long for us to get at least a few members past. And then from there, we'll develop the curriculum, or while they're doing that, I'll be developing the in-house training we'll be doing to get comfortable flying the drones, but they're really, really easy to fly. And the Skydio ones especially have so much integrated cameras and technology for sensors that they're so confident in the ability for no mistakes that they guarantee them, so that if you stack it for very little bit of money, you can have it replaced. So
How many firefighters will be doing the training initially?
we're gonna start slow. We're gonna start with trying to get 2 people per shift trained up, and then see how it goes, and then expand from there. So
We're
we'll
talking 6 people,
6 to 8 at the initial stage, and then go from there.
and how many drones will we have initially?
3.
What's your average flight time available?
So they're not, that's probably the biggest limiting factor is 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how much movement. If you have them just on station, they can sit for a long time. But, if you want them to fly around and burn up battery, then, yeah, they're limited. But, all the ones that we're getting will have, you know, backup batteries and quick swaps. So, yeah.
Great. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's exciting.
I'd
So more to follow.
like to take this rank down the road. Any questions?
All right.
Anything else about, for the foundation? Little event that's coming
So-
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes, I should update. So the crab meet is this Saturday. It's a go. I sent out an email that they were looking for 3 to 4 more volunteers to work either in the kitchen or in serving. So I think, and I said, if you know someone or if you yourself wish to help, to direct your response to Len Thompson, who's obviously doing the staffing. But the really good news is it's going to be a win, that the foundation's definitely going to be profitable because we've been able to sell actually, I think that the delay actually worked in their favor because it gave them more time to keep, you know, advertising. And last I heard, ticket sales were 200, that's a win. So I can't wait to hear what the profit ends up to be, but it's going to happen.
It's great.
Very good. I had a meeting this morning with Len and, he's hoping now towards 250, but no more than that.
Wow,
Uh,
good. So the
apparently
delay
there's
helped.
an event in the past that reached 300. And at that point they went, that was too many people.
Uh-huh.
So they're very happy with where it's
That's
at.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe that's a good learning for next year, to think about January versus December.
I think it's a good idea because December can be so tricky with getting the crowds actually delivered.
People's schedules. too.
Right,
Well, yeah,
right.
it's a crazy time of the year.
We're trying to be first in line and get a jump on all the other people that are doing it. I guess I should say one more thing about the foundation. In my humble opinion, the foundation really needs to bulk up, as in more people. So if you know anyone, you know, I just volunteer. I'm not doing that in this too. But if you know anyone that wants to get involved with the foundation, let me know and I'll be happy to introduce them. They're currently still meeting via either Google Meet or by phone. I don't know when and if they'll resume in-person meetings, but they really need to build up that whole organization. They've done a tremendous job with very limited crew. So that's it.
Any questions from the table for the foundation? None, all right. Number 5, current media. I do believe there's something here, David, from you.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody got a chance to take a look at this. This one kind of hit home. It came out right before our last fire commission meeting, but the gist of it was it was a profile of the Marin County Mobile Crisis Response Team. It's a 9-person unit of specialists and clinicians. It's managed by the Marin County Department of Health and Human Services. And it kind of brought me back to some of the conversations that Commissioner Weathers and I had when we did our ride along a few weeks ago. It was December 1st, where there was this term loosely of frequent flyers that was used. And the team let us know that there were certain people that were repeat callers, sometimes even more than once a day, that didn't necessarily have something that was of an emergency nature. And sometimes it could just be they needed a place to stay for the night, or they just wanted to be taken care of in some way. But that pulls our units away from active service, and then we have to go into backup mode and all that. So this article I thought was really interesting. I think we have safe teams, right, in San Rafael, but my understanding is that
singular.
team, okay. But that's somewhat limited and limited time frame, and maybe even personnel points as well. I think it's 8 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
It's definitely limited certain hours of the day. and days of the week, and there's just one single crew, and they're obviously heavily utilized based on all the activity that they respond to, so.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Additional resources would be probably highly valuable.
And is this, so it's through the county, this mobile crisis response team? Is
then-
that
and
only
then through the
servicing unincorporated areas and not?
It's actually, it's run through our police department and it serves city of San Rafael.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about.
Well, the other one, the
Oh,
one that's in the
yeah.
article, so safe team, I know San Rafael, but the Marin County,
It's a county resource. We do have available, it is available to us, but it's very scarce as far as its availability.
yeah,
So meaning the whole county is using that. So it's a single resource once again. And that's why the safety was stood up at that time also.
yeah,
So it is difficult. They're very scarce resources and very valuable resources. As us being able to deviate from two places where we don't want to go, and that would be jail or to a hospital bed.
yeah,
And we're, really, none of those are like the appropriate treatment for a person that's having mental crisis.
And the back of our ambulance.
Yeah, that,
Right.
So,
yeah.
so I think in the future, there will be probably more of those resources available. I know the state of California is now pushing, EMS authorities are pushing for us to have community paramedicine authorities to be able to do some systems like that. Where the fire department up and run can do that, where we could actually take somebody to an urgent care center, take somebody to a doctor's office instead of actually taking them to the hospital.
Yeah,
But obviously our problem is that, right now we're overly saturated with call volume.
Yeah.
So for us to take an ambulance out of service to transport somebody to the doctor's office would be a hindrance at this point.
exactly. Are there things, do you think maybe expanding the SAFE program could help alleviate some of that volume that's being placed on?
I think a couple
the fire
things.
department?
Certainly us having policy that allows us to do that. Right now, within policy, a paramedic cannot transport to urgent care center other than we can only transport to emergency room hospital.
Yeah,
So that's one of the problems. So changing policy, certainly having more of those type of resources available. And the other thing would be having lower service available, meaning like EMT, BLS type of ambulances that are not necessarily the paramedic ambulances, but somebody that can transport. Like if we needed to transport to Novato or even San Francisco, if there's not a heavy burden, because right now if we have to transport somewhere far, it's a burden. It's one less ambulance that we have available in town.
Right.
We only have 2 full-time staff ones. So that takes 50% of our resource away on one call. So having those resources available. The other thing that we are working with the dispatch center, the new dispatch center, is what's called a tiered response. It's Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, all the way to Echo calls. And basically they tier those responses based on the questions that they ask. A low priority call would be like Alpha and Bravo, which is maybe like a more like an inter-facility transfer, where we're transporting from one medical facility to another medical facility. So to be able to triage those calls and actually have resources available where you don't need a fire engine, don't need a paramedic, and need some other type of service. That's really where it'll make a dramatic change. And I think in my preliminary conversations with Marin County Fires, we developed a new county system. That's going to be an important aspect of it that we need to engage with.
so how well is that working now? Do you feel like that triage it's still sending a lot of those?
Well, the problem that we have is that we don't have anything, other resource to send other than a fire department, paramedic, engine company, or a fire department ambulance. Those are the only resources that we have in the county to send.
Yeah,
So there's really not a whole list of menu that we can pick this resource for this type of call. I think us fundamentally changing our idea of what we can send to these calls. So code 2, meaning no lights and siren ambulance, but 2 staff with 2 EMTs might be result better. It might have a better result of us sending us to the very low priority calls where we're not basically overly saturating the paramedics that are out there already.
does dispatch also dispatch a SAFE team?
So what we do, we'll call them through our dispatch, through our comm center, and then they call San Rosa PD, because officially it is a San Rosa PD, San Rafael PD resource officially.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's managed and dispatched through them. However, we also can use them and stuff.
Yeah,
But it's oftentimes we do see where we call them and they're not available. It's already on calls and then that phone.
yeah,
But it is the way of the future. A lot of things have to change in order to do that, but certainly the policies, the big one for us is the funding mechanism to be able to get funding for that. One of the things that we have looked at is, can we actually transport? And right now, the only way that we can charge for the service that we provide is through an ambulance transport.
yeah,
Otherwise, we're on the hook for it. Well, we really can't be on the hook if we're paying say $100,000 for an employee, and we're getting, there's no compensation, there's no other money coming for anything like that, and we can't charge that system on that system, it really, like, we can't do it, like, we really don't, there's no more money available to do that kind of system. Well, we are searching the future to be able to either consider us providers, much like a doctor and like that, where we actually could charge in those kind of, it's not the transport, we're charging for the actual service that we're providing rather than transport that we're providing. And if we were able to change that also on the insurance rules and be able to charge insurance, then maybe we could do it at that point also. But right now we don't have that available to us.
And then there's also a study going on in terms of calls, right? And the different types of calls that the department has.
Correct, our EMS study
Yeah.
is in the process right now.
So that'd be really interesting. to
Oh,
see
no,
that
it'll be.
too.
And I am looking forward to that. I am, as a fire chief, I am very visionary into what better service that we can provide. So I am looking forward to that study to actually come out to develop what our system's going to be like. Because right now we know that our standard response plan that we have right now is completely inundated and getting slowly eroded in our availability to respond to calls. So as that starts happening, we need to figure out what's the next thing that we can do in order for us to have the fire engines available for big fires and our paramedics available for really critical calls.
When will the EMS study be available?
I'm not sure yet. That's still in the process, so we don't have an exact date on that.
Thanks, Chief. Really appreciate all that. Just such an interesting article and dilemma.
Yeah, no, it's really evolving, and it's every city is suffering some version of this at this point.
We were talking about San Francisco and how, maybe we looked at that because they're probably a few years ahead of us, maybe not as many years.
We're like mini San Francisco. So
Yeah. Well, the last edition of Hot Shot, you might have noticed there was a picture of all 4 of our ambulances, our 2 front lines and our 2 cross-staff ambulances. All of them are in health center delivering patients. So all of the ambulances in the city have been basically tapped. All we're in general, we're in health now is what it's called. But that is becoming more and more common. More and more common.
And we still have our other responsibilities that we have, fire inspections, training, we're every, I have to say, I've been here for a year and a half and I've hired probably 10 people in the short time I've been here. I hired, and it's deviating from, but I just hired 3 people yesterday, another one today to bring on board, and those people are in training.
Yeah.
So it is pressure that's being put on us for sure.
Has the city ever looked at subcontracting out some of the like EMT services?
I think that's what we're looking at to see what the best option is. We have to be real careful with that. We do have what's called 201 rights, where our fundamental responsibility as fire department is also the transport, and that's from the 80s. So we carry that, and what we don't want to do is deviate from that too much, because potentially that could be taken away from us as the exclusive operating area. So we're really sensitive to what we do in that aspect for sure. Yeah. But I do think that by far we provide the best service though. I think a fire department, we don't suffer from other issues that private companies do suffer from. We show up within 4 to 6 minutes.
I've had personal experience with a neighbor who I woke up looking at the ceiling and it was going red like that. And apart from the French I used immediately, it was like, what? And then my phone rang at 2 a.m. And it was dispatch calling me because the neighbor said, call me to come down and get his dog. But when I got there, the crew was there. It was like a ballet. It was flawless. Boom, off to the hospital. I had the dog and I went home. But it was like, you wouldn't have even had that had I not woken up to the lights flashing on the ceiling and the phone call. I probably wouldn't have known they were there. It's like magic. So that part works.
So one more question, the EMS study, will it be by different zones? So just knowing that probably like 54, 51, 52, maybe are getting more of these types of
There is
situations.
So there's some analysis that got done geographically for sure. I mean, and if I'm trying to remember what I've seen of it so far. And, but they really are spread out. Our calls are spread out. You would think that, down, and the downtown area is generally a little bit busier, but we have some days where we have, one of the inherent problems that we have is that we have a lot of skilled nursing facilities in the valley. That bulks up on the call volume that's requested of us, or the services that's requested of us in those more senior, little bit elderly health facilities that we go to. So,
What do you mean by the valley?
oh, so we call this the downtown. So engine 51, 52, 54. We call that downtown, and the valley we call engine 56, 57, and 58. So the Carolina. So sometimes you'll refer to downtown in the valley. So that's how we split it up. And usually we do that because it works out for us that we always want coverage in one unit in the valley at the minimum and one unit in the downtown area. So we're constantly hearing they cover the valley, cover downtown. So that's a question.
And the valley includes Maroonwood now.
Yes, it is.
Right.
What do you call 55?
55, they're just not on their own out there.
Well, thank you. Good conversation. I think we'd love to be, I'd love for us to hear more about this and definitely see that TMS report.
Absolutely. Any other items from the table that would come under the umbrella of current media coverage of things you've seen? Or... No? Okay. We head off to the individual reports. David, anything else to add?
I guess the one thing I would add is at the last meeting, remember we talked about doing the gift donations to the different stations. So I did that at 55, and it was great that the city guys there. They were very appreciative. So I think that's a great tradition for us to continue doing. The other thing I had was more of a question. Do we have any programs for volunteer firefighting within San Rafael? I thought I had seen that maybe Marinwood has something.
So no,
I know there's Explorers.
Yeah,
right?
they don't currently have a program. I did talk to them as of last week of potentially getting that program ramped up there. One of the important things that I consider important things. So let me give you a little bit of history. The reason I'm a firefighter now is because I was an explorer and I was a volunteer. So those programs are very near and dear to me. To me, it seems that if I had a program like Marinwood, that would be my feeder program to the San Rafael Fire Department, professional career organization, and running through that. So it's my desire to get that program going back up again. I had some preliminary conversations with Eric at this point to be able to support him in getting that program. So it's not my organization, but I'm trying to provoke some influence on them to be able to revamp that. So we have that program that potentially we could do. We do have a program, as you said. We're currently hiring a cadet program to be able to bring in some people to do that, but we don't have a formal program at this point. I do, in my head, envision something happening, and part of it, and I'll relate it back to my experience as a volunteer firefighter. That organization is in Sonoma County. It's still an organization still there, that is still mostly volunteer firefighters. They have anybody from 14 all the way to 84 years old being a volunteer firefighter. And it adjusts as you go in and you're 14 years old, you're an explorer, then you become a volunteer firefighter, you work up the ranks, and then when you're ready to retire, you become a support person that goes to multi-alarm fires and helps them with the SCBAs, change refreshments and that kind of stuff. And that's an organization that's done that for years and years. That's the way it is. So, and as I say that I'm visionary, I do envision that in the future having to be able to do something like that. Maybe not the firefighting role, but certainly some kind of support role. As you can see, we're pretty, even though that, there's, we don't even have 30 people on duty every day. So there's a lot of support things that aren't getting done on a fire. We're basically just trying to get some hose lines in place and some ventilation going and stuff like that. And that taxes, but certainly if we can get later on, getting some people to support us in some of those tasks, I think that would be a great thing. So I am visionary. I don't have a plan in place yet, but I am visionary that I would like to do that in the future.
Thank you, Brian.
Chief, I attended what's called the Citizens Assisting Public Safety Program in the city of Folsom. It's run through both the fire and the PD together. And it was, I want to say a 12-week program, weekly, like 3 hours a night. And they brought in different people from both fire and police. And so it was an academy that citizens could attend. And then from that, they selected whom would be they chose, you had to go through an interview, a formal process. Luckily, they turned me down, which is why I'm here. Seriously. The But it was a really cool program that if you're interested in pulling in volunteers, I wanted to work for the fire department totally, and I made the mistake of telling that at the interview.
And it was firefighting, was police officers that were interviewing you.
But it was a really good program and it's very helpful to the city. And like you're talking about, I mean, they have where they'll call the volunteers, like if a road shut down and you're a volunteer for it's called CAP, Citizens Assisting Public Safety. You'll go down and help with the street being blocked off and redirecting traffic or whatever. It's been extremely helpful.
Yeah, no, and those are programs that are like, that's what I would like to do. That kind of stuff. Because imagine my workforce that I have available to me.
Well,
And we're not putting you in a dangerous situation either.
Right.
So I understand that part, but I certainly, like, to be able to have logistical support or just support on scene that especially on a big disaster. Imagine, and on a big disaster, it's going to take a while for people to help us. But if we can start kind of doing our own thing here and having some citizens that are trained at a very basic level, even if citizens are trained at the incident command structure, if they understand that structure, we quickly organize them in the teams and do whatever we do. Like people just work miracles when they're organized, and we just got to get the organization. So
the fire department in Folsom, they have a lady who is their receptionist. They have volunteers running the front desk.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So that's frees up someone like Marie to do other tasks.
Yeah.
They have people who literally run the room where you keep all your medical supplies, and they make sure that all the supplies are already there. It's a retired nurse that's doing it. I mean,
Wow.
there's things that we could do to free you up for
Yeah.
other.
One of the inherent problems that we've run into is that we have very little administrative type support in our department. And that's where we run into problems. Sometimes people tell me, well, there's grants out there. Well, I don't have anybody to fill out their grant paperwork. I don't have anybody to manage the grant paperwork. So we're trying to bulk that up for sure. And we're trying to figure out where it makes sense to be able to stretch our budget out to do multiple things and be able to do that kind of process to be able to get some folks in there. Because as soon as I get some folks in there, we can start managing some of those programs. I am having a lot of conversations with Quinn about setting up our CERT program for sure, because the CERT program might be the nexus to be able to get something like this going. But right now, to just start a new program, it's a new program. It can be fairly complicated. But if I start following, like we just revamped the CERT program, which is a program that's already here, we need to put some more oomph into it and get it there. But if we could, that would be the nexus to get volunteers and now working towards that, and that's where like.
And Folsom has that as well.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm trying to work with both Quinn and Manny to start doing that, and then also for our Spanish speaking community doing the same thing there also.
Beautiful.
Thanks for mentioning CAPS. That's very.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I wrote this.
Yeah.
Got it.
Does anybody remember CERT here in San Rafael?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to teach it. Yeah, I'm a member of it, but I never hear from them.
Yeah.
So your point, I'll take.
Okay.
Yeah, countywide, I think it used to be pretty popular.
Yeah,
A lot of people are getting trained. We trained a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
And, but there was no follow.
Yeah, you used to get alerts and things like that, and it just kind of really.
Yeah. And it's gotten peaks and valleys throughout. And from our organization, I used to work at the same thing. But I really think that and the COVID really slowed it down. It slowed some part of it down and then ramped up in other parts of it. But I really think there's an opportunity for us to figure something out here that's mutually beneficial for everybody. Also for our community, keeps them engaged, keeps them supported, and it's a good thing, right? People want to feel a need.
Yeah.
Just become retired now doesn't mean that I don't do anything for the community. It just means that my function maybe become a little bit more different. Maybe I'm managing something rather than picking up boxes. So they're having that attitude and saying, hey, yeah, it's all part of what we're going to do here. We're part of the community thing.
It's not what you retire from, it's what you retire.
I'm always available too for, I helped develop that instant command system back in the 70s. So, and I've worked every aspect of it in real life. So good.
Ken, anything from you, sir?
Just the drone thing, man, that from an insurance perspective, that's the coolest, that's really great stuff for so many different reasons.
There's a woman that I work with, her name's Susan Blankenberg. Her husband was a fire chief up here, I believe in Nevada. And she runs this group called, FARA. She insures fire agencies throughout the California. I don't know if you've ever heard of FARA. Yeah, there's, I think Nevada's a member, and Tiburon, Stinson, yeah, those guys.
It's one of the districts.
Yeah, exactly. And within those guys, she's got a group, for drone. She's got a drone users group. They share information and stuff like that. So I'll get that information. I'll get it over to you. You guys might want to join in or get information as to how they're using it and stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. The other thing, Chief White always kind of gave us good information. He was very involved with the Marin Wildfire Protection Agency, and so with his departure. I was going to kind of start paying a lot more attention to that group for us because a lot of what they do has an insurance aspect to it. And I think I can help them a little bit. So I kind of stayed away from it, but now I'm going to engage more. So I'll get some reports, maybe fill in for what he's not here to share with us. But other than that, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, good, thank you. Let's see, Thomas not here. Donna, anything you want to add?
I'm tickled to hear that Santa Fe will be the first city in the county to have a drone program. Fire.
Yeah, I think, and I'm pretty sure that's what you said, and at least we haven't heard of anything.
So we're gonna
The
be
other thing is
leaders.
that, like, the reality is that we're the big city around, so even if I'm a small fire district, it gets one, we're the ones that are gonna be using it. We're the ones that get to call them and can have that. We have, I mean, we have very unique geography and topography here that allows for that drone to be used, to be really honest with you, that would help us for sure.
Yeah. It was unsaid, but interesting that initially Battalion Chief Hamilton did approach the PD to see if they wanted to do a joint venture. And they turned him down, and I said, you know what? I think it's better this way. It's ours. It's not shared.
And didn't you say they already have, the police, sheriff department already has drones? Sheriff department. Oh, sheriff.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I've been on 2 calls over the last 6 months that they've had culture. Yeah, for them.
So I do have a trivia question. In the lobby, there's 2 showcases. Why did the PD get both?
Because we have the stairs and the garage door.
We should still have a show.
No, I think that's the idea is for us to do support stuff there.
Yeah, it's kind of an ongoing work in progress. Putting artifacts and various artwork in the lobby. So we could certainly have one as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, half of the cabinet is ours.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, there's more stuff.
We have much cooler stuff now.
Well, we're coming up on our 150th. So we should be tooting our horn, right?
John?
Chief Waterbury and I got to visit Station 51 for the holidays, and it was really important. We got to take Thomas and Danielle, and I got to take Thomas, Danielle, and Chief Senate out to lunch too.
There you go.
Hey, where'd you go?
Magnolia Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Thank you. It's great.
Did you have a chicken sandwich?
No, I had a
Chicken bomb.
The chicken bomb.
That's all I got.
All right, Brian?
It's ass out.
Yeah, I was going through some of my old stuff and, I don't know if, this would be of any value to you. We did spend a lot of time back in the early 2000s coming up with fire management plans for all the city that was impacted by, wildfire. And I was going through some old boxes and stuff, and I found them. And I'm just wondering if this would be any value. Take a look. We've done a lot. I mean, basically tells you, how to approach it, what the threats are, and it's broken down for each area. So
Great.
like this Centerville Hill Country Club, Upper Toyota, Bristol Park.
Wow.
Maybe old, but it can be updated.
Sure.
We're currently in the process of actually creating a wildfire playbook. So there's a potential that we have some good information there that we would grab, so.
Thank you.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel quite so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh,
You know, I mean,
I'd like to look at it before the end of the meeting.
Especially if it's your,
Yeah. I can tell you, in 30 years I've lived in where I live, nothing's changed.
I was just gonna say that, not that much has changed.
well, the threats still remains the same, but,
Yeah.
but, the fire department obviously is, you know,
Yeah.
changed.
how are you building out that playbook?
So we got a consultant that's helping us with it. So we're getting a lot of information, and it's a joint effort by Office of Emergency Services Quinn's team, myself, and the police department. One of the, our preliminary conversation was with the PD of what do we do on evacuations? Which the answer was, that's a good question. What do we do for evacuations? And it's not unique to San Rafael Department. It's unique to law enforcement because they really just take action based on what we direct them to do. What that action looks like, it's all over across the board and stuff. So to me, it felt like we really needed to hone in on what is it? Is it notification? Are we grabbing certain criteria and then evacuate certain areas as a priority, then we go to the next. It could be any number of things like that, but having strategically be able to have a couple of thoughts in that playbook to say, hey, this is a playbook. We can grab this annex, give it to the police department. This we're enacting this policy or this action now. I'll go back to the Tubbs fire. So I was on the Tubbs fire. At one point, I had 11 people in my Ford Explorer, and that was a legit rescue. That if I don't get them out, they were all going to die, type of deal. So I do have a little PTSD, which I convert into opportunity to have that not happen to me ever again. So that's why I'm fairly aggressive with the evacuation type of stuff and having plans in place. So that's how it came to be. We're getting a lot of information from a lot of organizations and now starting to build the actual playbook. And then we'll have a run through and some exercises that I'd like to invite a couple of you of the commission members to kind of join us, at least in observation, to see what we're doing and then see if there's any kind of input like that.
So like if you wanted to grab, like, say, for example, we got somebody, you go up the ladder at Travelers or AIG or Chubb, right? And those people can say, yeah, we've done this in New York, Florida, Texas, you know, for the similar type communities. I can help you find those people.
Okay.
If you guys want,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
because those guys, they get involved with you know, they insure a lot of cities.
Yeah.
Like whoever I never looked, I should look. Who is the insurance broker and who is the insurance carrier for San Rafael? They should be very involved. Probably AIG or, you know, Zurich or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And those people have they have massive departments that do this stuff.
Yeah, and that's you bring up a good point that I've never really considered, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Usually it's us public safety using contractor to do analytical type of work, but I don't think I've ever reached out to an insurance person unless something's already broken down.
And those guys are sitting there. They're like, I don't even know where to start with.
And there's probably a lot of data that they have that just sitting there.
Yeah, because they do. There's a division of, let's say it's
Well,
Zurich.
because right, if it's part of responsibility to figure out how much stuff.
Yeah, they just don't know. Nobody's introduced them to you, right? And so if they could find you, they could, oh, hey, look, I can really help you with this. This is, you know.
Oh, great.
That'd be an interesting conversation. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to follow up with that.
Yeah, perfect. This is really cool.
Good job.
I'll look at my paper. Anything else, Brian?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. My report, I did the Christmas drop off at Station 57. Had a ball.
Yep.
It was really fun for me. Probably boring as all hell for them. And it got in early in the morning, right after breakfast, a lot of coffee and forgive my French, just sat there and shot the shit for a while. And was very open, very loose, very friendly, very, you know, and it was like, well, what do you think about, and have you heard anything about, and I didn't have a lot of answers, but I was intrigued by the questions to not go too far with it. Let's say there were some changes that came briefly after my visit that were rumored at the station. And I couldn't address it because I had nothing to address it with until I received an email about what was going on. But I found that to be, you know, you talk about the walls having ears. Apparently they do. But anyway, that aside, great time. They appreciated what they got, and we had talked about it. It was your idea of doing the gift card as opposed to an actual box of goodies. They'll love the idea. So next year.
No. You don't wait till next year to go back.
Oh, no, I don't mean that, but I'm saying, you know, let's just say it, as we go along year to year, the gift card is the way to do it.
Right.
And leave the choice up to the station. And it would be different for, you know, 51 to 2 to 5 to 7 4, whatever. So they like that a lot. Otherwise, I don't have anything, any major points other than to underscore the part I hate most. If it's not on the agenda, we really shouldn't be getting into anything. So that said, whatever your wildest idea is in terms of a topic we should be talking about or something that needs to be brought to the table, call Marie, email her, email Thomas, and we'll get it on the agenda so that the system doesn't go nuts when we sit and talk about something in great detail. I think we accomplished most of that. I handed out some things today that were not agendized, but they're open to the public. They're public information already. The makeup of the fire commission, who we are, what we do, and what we don't do. I finally found my copy of that in writing, so that's why I gave it to you to take a look at that. Business cards, that's just a request. You choose what you want to do and let me know. And then I'll talk to one of these gentlemen over here and I'll get them into the system, or I'll talk to Thomas. And I think that's about it. So.
You go. Just a quick look at the camera real quick. Thank you. This will be an unofficial picture. We'll get an official picture when Thomas is here. Thank you.
Yes. No. Oh, okay. There is, for those who are attending on Saturday, the crab feed. I will be there. And see everyone who is, and like that. So if there are no further, yes, there is one.
We have not done the chief's report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus. Hello, Stan. Hi, now that you're here and in this very important role, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Floor is yours.
No, thank you. So thank you for the support and thank you for the continued support. Operationally, not much is going to change at this point. I have asked the Chief Senate to kind of fill in my role here at the commission, and so I kind of figure out what's going on and kind of figure out where I need to be and where I don't need to be. To be truthful, like yesterday I had a 13-hour day just trying to figure things out because I'm still covering my operations job also. So I don't necessarily want to burn out either. So I'm trying to be cautious of that. The Chief Senate's been gracious enough to kind of help me out with this. I do want to make myself available to you though, and I'll start trying as soon as I try. So hopefully within the next couple of months I'll be able to figure things out as far as where I need to be and that kind of stuff. A little bit of myself. This is my 37th year in the fire service. I've been here a year and a half. I was the fire chief in the city of Berkeley and worked there for 24 years prior to coming over here. I was a volunteer firefighter since I was 14 years old, all the way till I got promoted to assistant chief in Berkeley. That was in 2013. I was assistant chief for many years of division of training and EMS there for years. So I spent most of my time doing that as a chief was training EMS, and then obviously worked on my ranks from lieutenant, and that started as a paramedic also. So that's me in a nutshell. I worked for the fire district, worked for Cal Fire, worked for the city of Berkeley, worked for the city of Santa Rosa, and now here. So I've had a couple of jobs here and there. So I really like, this is Santa Rosa is a special place to me. When I did my Firefighter One Academy in 1989, we did it at Hamilton Field, and a lot of the firefighters that were over there were San Rafael firefighters. I remember going to Station 52 when they had a trailer there, going over there and do some training there. I remember seeing a firefighter paramedic. Mind you, I was 18 years old at the time, seeing a professional career firefighter paramedic that he was just running around, working on the ambulance and that kind of stuff. I thought, yeah, that's kind of cool. I want to do that someday. So I do have some profound memories of that. I remember doing a transport to, I think of Marine General at the time, and then coming back and the hills on fire over here. So there's like and then obviously when I commuted to Berkeley, I would run through here, and anytime there's a vehicle accident or fire or something like that, I'd see it. So I always felt like some kind of connection to San Rafael, and I never knew what it was until I finally got here. My kid got surgery, hip surgery, and I would go to the little office across, or the two-story building across the street there. For months, I would go there, and I always would see the construction. I never knew it was a fire station being built here, and I never knew what was here before that. I just, man, it must be a big building that they're building. Later on, here I am working. So there's always been some kind of connection to San Rafael. I'm really appreciative. I always thought, Chief Senate, I get to be a firefighter, and I'm very appreciative of that. I don't take anything lightly. My parents were farm workers from Sebastopol. They were apple farm workers and stuff like that. So to me, this wasn't in my destiny or anything. I wasn't like a super good student or anything like that. And so I thought I was going to do the same thing as my parents as farm worker. But now I'm here, and all these years, 37 years later, I'm still doing this thing, still very enthused to coming to work every day. Certainly my daily task is not being a firefighter paramedic anymore. I'm pulling hose and treating patients anymore, but I feel very comfortable still calling myself a firefighter still, even though I don't do firefighting, although I do still go to calls, but I still feel very comfortable being a firefighter still, and I really enjoy calling myself a firefighter.
Chief, when will the city open it up to allow a permanent fire chief to be in place?
That's a good question. So the preliminary conversation I've had with Christine has been 3 to 4 months. Mind you, we were doing over Christmas holiday and stuff like that. So I'll have some more conversations here within the next couple of weeks. We really, in the conversations I had between me and her, I really felt that we were stable, that we had a little bit of time, and that there wasn't a rush that we needed to do it. As a matter of fact, I felt that it was almost, we would create some instability if we were to rapidly do it, just because we don't know if the chiefs going in and all like that. We're still, and then we were having a lot of stuff going right now. The hiring part of it. We have a captain's exam coming. We have the EMS study. All sorts of stuff that it's happening all right now. And I think to me, I just feel like we would stall out on that progression, that inertia that we have going. So I thought that we just need to keep going for the next 3 or 4 months. I'll take responsibility for both positions, and then she'll make a decision on what she wants to do with it.
Got it.
Chief, do you want to do the report?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the table is the most recent copy of the chief's report that has revised. You received one earlier today that said updated, then I noticed a typo, so the latest one is now revised. If you can refer to that copy, although it really doesn't make much difference. I'm just working through it fairly quickly. Under general updates, pleased to report we had no holiday tragedies this year, which we have experienced in the past. Fires in dwellings during the holidays can be especially traumatic for everyone, including the fire crews. So I'm pleased to report there were no holiday tree-related fires or any fires that occurred in dwellings in San Rafael over the holidays. Just a relief.
Is that common? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you think that's common across the country now? Are trees fires?
Well, the live cut trees, they start a lot of fires.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to report that it seems like the purchase of live cut trees has started to slowly decline. And I'm pleased to report that after years and years and years of begging my wife for us to buy an artificial tree, last year she finally relented And we bought an artificial tree last year, put it up again this year. And that stress that I would always feel about having that live cut tree in my house is finally gone. So I hope others follow suit. So anyhow, yeah.
Chief, do we do anything with the live cut tree vendors so they can create a little more awareness at the point of sale? To stop, I mean, there's some
That's a really
basic
good idea,
things,
though.
right? Like
Really
just
good
making sure
idea.
that you're
Yeah.
putting water, you know, that it's got that extra amount of water will extend the life, but.
We don't, but that's a really good idea.
Nice management, David.
Well done. Sam would probably stress if sell those stands.
Yeah. Yeah, some people just put them in the stands that don't have the water bucket, and that's, I don't know if that could ever become a requirement.
My sister-in-law, who lives out in the Night Drive, Glenwood area, they had a somewhat of a holiday tree tragedy. They bought their live cut tree. It had the water bucket stand. They put it on their lovely hardwood floor in a corner. They draped, the apron around it. My sister-in-law, she got very proactive and was putting gifts around the tree, starting a few weeks before Christmas. My brother-in-law was watering it on a daily basis. Noticed that it seemed to be a very thirsty tree. Well, yes, it's because the stand had a leak and it wrecked and mildewed a bunch of the presents and also wrecked the floor.
Yeah.
Right.
You done with live trees?
I would probably guess that she might be done with her husband. They're not noticing it. Anyway, moving along here, facility updates. Very excited to announce that Station 54 is open. That went 1 year longer. It was supposed to open exactly 1 year ago this month. And just due to all the delays associated with the contractor, it just continued to drag out. But pleased to report, as of January 3rd, the station is open and the crews are occupying the new station.
One quick question.
Yeah.
We've all, most everybody here probably has seen Larry's Lair. I assume, when I read it, that these are just two items that are yet to be done.
Well, it probably wasn't part of the scope of the work that needed to be done there, to be honest with you. I don't think we did a full security analysis on that firehouse part of that. And that's really what needed to happen. So when Larry went in there, it did trigger us going, okay, there's a couple of things that we missed.
Yeah.
And we're addressing those issues. So it's just like anything, unless we're in there, we don't recognize it.
Right.
And one of the things is that we just need to get some folks in there and say, yeah, this is wrong. And and we had complaints from our firefighters, oh, this can get done right. You're right, let's fix it. But that always happens. Certainly security and the safety of our crews is most important, but it was just something that we just didn't recognize. So
It'll be taken care of.
but we're taking care of it.
Yeah. All right.
And he made some good recommendations.
Moving along under stacking updates, you met Marie earlier in the meeting. We have a new defensible space inspector. And as the chief reported earlier, we're now in the process of recruiting new firefighter paramedics, and we've held interviews this week and made several job offers.
And there's a change in it. I'm making them immediately after I have the interview. I have the background investigator here. I make the conditional offer immediately. There's just so much competition. If I ask every one of those folks that came up to me in the last 2 days, sorry, what other list are you on? They'll tell me I'm Alameda, City San Angelo and stuff. Okay, wait here for a little bit. Make a couple phone calls. I'm gonna make you an offer right now. You come work for me right now. And so far I got 4 of them by doing that. So
Are we
Close.
with our packages and meaning, salary?
I think we are, but there's definitely some things that we could probably improve on there. And I'm sure we're going to negotiate here. I'm sure SRFA is very astute to what those opportunities are for them to get better benefit package.
I'm just gonna add that people I know who have applied here, who don't take the job, or if housing is a big issue.
Yeah.
Something that we can, so where you gonna live, where you gonna commute from,
Yeah.
that becomes a big issue.
No, it's
Our biggest
absolutely.
challenge.
Yeah.
Why work here, if you live in Santa Rosa or Vacaville or Fairfield or Roseville, if there's opportunities closer to home. So that's been one of our greatest challenges.
Yeah.
So on page 2, there's several operations updates. With the opening of Station 54, we kind of reset everything. The ambulance is back at Station 52, Truck 54 has returned to Station 54. The BC has returned to their normal office and dorm room. So everything is reset, everybody's happy. There's forward progress for the launch of the new County Regional Fire Dispatch Center. I've talked about that at our last meeting. It's still set to launch July 1st, Chief, is that right?
July 2024, yes.
Yes, okay. And there are some details about that you can look at. I also added to this report the next gen MIRA system. That's the current radio system we're using is referred to as MIRA, Marine Emergency Radio Authority. That's the radio system that's been in place for about 15 years now. The next gen system is due to launch here, hopefully in the next year or so. And just a new system, more robust, obviously modernized. The current system works well, but the equipment is all being phased out. You can no longer find parts for the radios. But it has worked very well, and we're looking forward to the new system. I mentioned at the last meeting that we have purchased 2 new ambulances. They're beautiful, beautiful rigs, much more robust than the previous ones. There's a picture of one there. We have just placed them into service, both of them, Chief?
Yes,
yeah. As of yesterday, so that's very exciting. As mentioned at the last meeting, we run about 20 EMS calls per day. It's 20 transports, so these ambulances are heavily utilized. So we have state-of-the-art, heavy-duty, robust, first-class units now.
I do have 2 additional ones on order that'll be here in August 8th and 9th, is my build out dates.
Super.
Chief, one question about the ladder truck. So that's normally stationed at 54. Why there versus 52 or elsewhere? And is it because the structures that are required, like if you're responding, are there taller structures?
There's some history there. One of them is because of the access for the ladder truck that can't get into part of 52's areas. There, and probably Chief, you could probably speak to that also. It's very difficult in some of those areas to get there. And they're running medicals and all the rest of the calls also. So in the future, we do need to look at it strategically. Is that the best use of our ladder truck? If we put them out of station 54, or do we actually have to move them somewhere else? Our truck is not equipped, so there's no water on it or anything. It is a straight ladder truck. So that would also say that, you know, there will be no water in that downtown area. For a little bit, so.
And that's the only one we have. We just have one and a backup as well.
There is a backup one. It's 30 years old. So we're looking at working this week to try to get another one purchased and throw a replacement of that one, the 30-year-old one. Approximately something years old.
And what's the price tag on a new ladder truck, Chief?
$2 million.
On a water truck?
Ladder.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
There's also some call stats for you that are provided each month at the bottom of the operations division updates. Training division updates.
I have a question on the call stat. Refresh my memory, what is the other category?
It's just anything that doesn't fall into the EMS fire or hazardous condition category. It could be any kind of public service type of call. Chief, do you have any examples?
Fall person that's not injured, that we just need to get up.
Some people fill out.
Yeah.
So it's half as many as the EMS calls.
Service calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about earlier today.
Yeah, and a lot of people rely on us. You know, every time you have a smartwatch that alerts us, or you know, Apple or any number of those systems, they always say it's going to call somebody. Well, guess what? It's calling us. And so those are during a lot more calls where somebody drops their phone. It's the reported fall victim that they can't get hold of, so that we are responding to it. So once again, I go you back to, we were talking about the establishing policy around it. Is one of the stuff that I want to create is a call for service type. It's just a Apple phone activation with we're not getting a response from it. We don't know what's going on. We do have to send somebody out there, but do we need to send a fire engine and an engine and an ambulance and with their highly trained professionals there, or can we just figure out if there's another system we can go out there and check on?
Caps.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. Yeah.
A lot of them too are the calls that the new team here in the PD now responds. The
Safety.
safe teams. Things like that. They're not medical, they're not fire. They're just other types of calls where people need assistance. Okay. Under the training division, there's a property owner, up on Fair Hills. It's a large single-family dwelling they're gonna be tearing down. He's offered it to us for training, and we very excitedly and eagerly have accepted. So we'll, use the structure prior to its demolition, for training.
What's the address?
I don't have it
All right.
right now, but I can get it for you.
I live there.
Yeah. I think it's your house.
Yeah, I do that.
Right out there.
And I volunteer a neighbor.
Um, there's some training information that Captain Goodwin has provided, that the crews are working on, low-rise rescue training, 2-hour block ladder training. We'll also be returning to Berkeley to participate in regional truck training. We talked about that a little bit last month. In March, crews will participate in some active shooter training at the Larkspur Ferry Terminal.
Question on that. Is that because firefighters are being shot at?
Well, actually, what we do is because oftentimes there's a SWAT type call out.
Yes.
Fire will be positioned behind the SWAT team,
Yes.
ready to provide medical assistance.
Do our
So we become
firefighters,
part of that.
do our firefighters currently have bulletproof vests that they can put on if they have to?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Gonna add real quick. So the old model was wait for the system to be safe. Everybody clears out, then we go in. Now it's like that takes too long. So they send firefighters with police to go in because it gives more time to save lives. So that's the sea change. That's the.
On page 3, the chief talked a few minutes ago about the EMS study, and that's in process. We're also getting ready to deploy a deployment analysis standards of coverage study, which looks at various service levels in the community, how we can better serve the community. Are we staffed correctly? Are units placed correctly? One of the reasons why we're looking at this is because of the Northgate Town Square project that's now kind of on the books, which is going to be one of the largest projects ever hit Marin County in recent history, and could significantly impact our response platform. We've actually looked at the possibility of seeing if we can actually get a station positioned at or adjacent to the Northgate Town Square, because Station 56 is at the very west end of its response district, which isn't ideal as far as being centrally located in a response district. So a lot of things we're looking at there. And so we plan to initiate that deployment analysis here sometime this year.
Is that Northgate project, is that the old Sears, like that?
Yeah.
part?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
If we were able to get a firehouse at the development, would we then close down the old 56, in which case they would have a new building?
That's kind of what's being discussed.
Cool. Yeah, because that's the oldest firehouse, my firehouse, and it is shabby compared to all the other firehouses.
However, I don't want to really go on the record, although I am on the record, by stating we're going to close Station 56, because as you all know, Brian knows this, the two most difficult things to do in the fire service is close an existing fire station and open a new one. People oppose both of those. Sure. People who have a fire station in the neighborhood don't want to see it closed.
Right.
We're closing my fire station. Yeah. You want to put a new fire station over here? People go, we don't want a fire station there. It's going to be too noisy. There's sirens all the time. Those are the two most difficult things to do.
So our game plan as a department is ultimately to get a new firehouse at the new development.
Well, that is something that we are looking at.
Hoping to do.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And it's also closer to Kaiser and everything.
Closer to the freeway.
Yep.
Closer to, we have a large section of San Rafael up in the Smith Ranch area.
Yep.
Where we don't really have a fire station up there. We
Yeah.
rely heavily on Marinewood.
Yeah.
So getting a fire station closer to Highway 101 in the vicinity of Northgate would.
All makes sense. Great. Nice.
Yeah, kind of working with Chip Harmon's vision, looking down the road, see what we can do. Major incidents, I'll let the chief talk about this one. We had a major trauma incident just the other night that the chief actually responded to.
Yeah, and then most of you read the IJ newspapers. It was not a good scene. Our firefighters acted heroically once again. to try to save a life. And not only that, put themselves in harm's way, without getting into specific details, but they put themselves in harm's way to try to save a life for sure on this one. So my hats off to my folks, really proud of them of what they did and how they engaged in the emergency and believed in their heart that they truly would take a higher risk to get a higher gain on this call for sure. And they decided to take that risk for sure.
And then under prevention updates, kind of talking about the Northgate Town Square, I provided everybody with this document here, which shows you that there is a tidal wave of development headed towards San Rafael. And I'm not saying that all of this is going to be developed, but all of this is either in the initial stage. You got that?
Yeah.
Or it's under construction, or it's proposed for construction. And the chief talked about the EMS study, and we talked about the deployment analysis. So basically, you look at this and go, we desperately need both of those documents in order to determine how we're going to be able to serve the community. We talked about the fact that our ambulance units today are running oftentimes at maximum capacity. Right. So how do we run maximum capacity today and then look at everything that's going to be developed in potentially the next 10, 15, 20 years? So probably the organizational structure of the San Rafael Fire Department is going to have to substantially change in order to accommodate and in order for us to provide the levels of service to the community with all of this new development. Much of it is high density residential. Residential is where we run most of our calls, right? Because people have accidents in the home. You're in the home the majority of your time. That's where accidents occur, EMS and fire. And as mentioned, a lot of this is high density, so it's not just single family dwellings. It's not urban sprawl. It's going vertical. So that presents all sorts of new challenges to us. We talked about the ladder truck. It's now positioned down in Station 54. Chief mentioned that that's a primary response vehicle for that zone. It has no water. Probably what we're going to have to look at is that becomes a supplemental resource, and another fire engine staffed is in that station as well, or the ladder truck as a supplemental resource is put somewhere else more strategically in the city, because we're going to need that ladder truck to be responding in addition to the engine, not as the engine. So there's all sorts of things we need to start looking at. More ambulance units, the EMS study that you talked about. So we're just trying to be ahead of the game. A good example is the Northgate Town Square project, which is, as you look at
7 stories,
just
7 stories.
multiple 7-story buildings, with a few thousand residential units combined with the commercial. Yeah, these things are going to, impact our fire department. And the chief and I will talk about this. We welcome this development. We welcome it, but we want to be ready for it.
Sure.
We want to be on the front end of it. We don't want to be chasing after it. Right now, we feel like we're operating at maximum capacity too much right now. We don't obviously want to head into this when we're at maximum capacity without having changes basically lined up ahead of us, staff and resources.
What we hope to develop from these two, both the standard coverage and the EMS plan, is an actual strategic plan moving forward. Because that'll really dictate what kind of apparatus we buy, and all sorts of things, adding additional bedrooms to the fire stations, strategically how we place apparatus, what kind of apparatus, that kind of stuff. So really we'll dictate this, how it'll be our guiding document. And I do hope it's a guiding document to the future where we constantly look at it, reassess it, and modify it, whether it's needed. If we only get 25% of this, okay, well then we're at 25% of the capacity, right? But if we're looking at 100% of this actually happening, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We're still somewhat of a small town resources, however, having big city issues rapidly.
And so there's some other information there on inspection activity under the prevention division update, which you can look at. And then at the bottom, the chief talked about the Explore program. So there's just more information there on that for you. And that concludes the chief's report.
Thank you. Any questions from the table? I would like to make any comment about the chief's report. I'm 6 years with the commission. Came in with Chief Gray. No reflection on Chief White. This is the most concise report we have had. This format is a winner.
Thank you.
And
Last meeting the same,
I appreciate
last
it.
meeting the same, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
if this format continues, it would not be disappointing.
No, you're teaching us a lot and
Yeah, that's right.
And the photos and.
yeah, it's great.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
You really stepped it up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All stuff.
If there is no further business, then we get to meet again next month.
Maybe with all of us.
Yes, could happen.
For a photo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The best of luck.
Thank you for your continued support.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
This meeting is officially adjourned at
Don't
5:21.
work 13 hours today.
I was thinking, I go, man, another hour, it'll be 12.
A 21-hour day coming home from the East Coast.
Did you get stuck?
No, I didn't get stuck. We caught COVID. Thank you very
Oh,
much. The whole thing went right down the drain from day one. Yes. Everybody's healthy now, but getting there.